Just starting.
We are here with Steve Duke at the Adams County Courthouse, Courtroom 1B, Quincy, Illinois. He is being interviewed on November 19th, 2014. His birth date is August 2nd, 1947. Those attending this interview are Steve Duke, June Oddie, court reporter, and Tracy Altgilber's interviewer. And we're working with the Veterans History Project. Mr. Duke, in interviewing you, what war and branch of service were you in?
I was in Illinois National Guard that got activated to go to the Vietnam conflict.
Okay. What was your rank while you were there?
I went in a Spec 4. I was discharged as Spec 4.
And where did you serve?
July.
And where is
Vietnam.
that
It is along the coast of the South China Sea, about 60 miles south of Da Nang.
And how long were you there?
We was there 11 months.
Were you drafted or did you enlist?
I enlisted.
Where were you living at the time?
I was living at Lime, Illinois with my folks.
Why did you join?
Well, it was either join or get drafted back then because I wasn't going to college, so you either had one or two things to do, so that's what I chose.
That's what you chose? Why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
Well, I was working for an Angus farm, and the Guard worked into the scenario that I was in, and so that's the reason I joined the Guard. I had some friends that was in it also.
Do you recall your first days in service?
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, the first days is when I basically went to boot camp, and I went to Fort Leonard Wood, and we left it was in July, and around the 4th, it's hot. We got on a bus here in Quincy and ended up down there, I guess about 8 o'clock at night at Waynesville, and they picked us up, and we went in and stood in the yellow plates and the reception center and was there until we got, it's just quite a different ordeal, I guess you might say.
Can you explain any feelings of what it was like to be there in your first few days?
Oh, I don't know, it was different than what you're used to. I mean, it was trying to figure out from being yelled at and everything else and all this. You soon figured it out.
Can you tell me about your boot camp or training experience while you were there?
Well, we was, what was it? B-53 was the company was with, and it was an old barracks. Our company was an old barracks, and we did basic, just like about everybody else. Did a lot of walking and marched every place we went, just about. And I ended up losing about 20 pounds, and we ate outside, except when it was raining. We got to eat inside, but it didn't seem like it rained very much. And then that was there. I come home in the last of August, I believe it was, 1st of September. That's when I got out and come home on leave.
Do you remember your instructors?
I remember Jill Sergeant Snow. I don't. I really can't tell. I remember one lieutenant we had that I really didn't care for. He was, I don't know, it was something about him, and he singled out one guy. I remember that. He singled out a guy by the name of Farmer. He was from Arkansas, and he was a hayseed, and he picked him out, and the poor kid, he got picked on the whole time. I guess that's why I didn't like that lieutenant, but he had nobody else he messed with, but he just messed with him a lot.
How did you get through it all in those
I don't know.
days?
Something you just do. You just go and do it.
The next set of questions is going to be about your experiences.
Okay, okay.
Which war did you serve in?
Vietnam.
And where exactly did you go?
Pardon me now?
Where exactly did you go in Vietnam?
We went to Da Nang. We flew into Da Nang and got in there at night, and then we all got together. It was kind of like a reception center, I guess. We was with the 80th group, and I remember the smell. I mean, it just got off the plane, and just a different smell there. And then the next morning we went back to the airport and got on C-130s and flew into Chulai, which is where we was at, and then we all went into the company area where we was was up on Bluff. I remember that. The airport was down below, and our company area was up on top of Bluff. It kind of surrounded, there's mountains, and there's a lot of bottom ground, and the airport and that was down on the bottom ground, and we was up above the airport.
What was your job or assignment?
Well, I had several. I drove a truck. I drove a deuce and a half at the beginning, and I was in DX, I believe it was, and I don't know, there's 4 or 5 of us worked in this big warehouse there, and I hauled stuff out of there around different places. And then I don't remember what the deal was. They closed it down. We got out of there, and then I went to the 2 and 4 yards, they called it. There's a great big yards out in the middle of a sand, and I drove a rough terrain forklift and unloaded trucks and loaded trucks and put things away down there. And I did that for probably 4 or 5 months. And then we went into I drove a 5-ton S&P then for they call it infusion. They took part of us out and put us in other companies away, and then they I gotta stretch my leg. So when we went home as a unit, they could bring other people in, and I was lucky enough that we had a platoon attached to the 126, and I got infused into that platoon, so I didn't really change jobs and areas or whatever. I stayed right there, and then we I drove this flatbed S&P 5-ton stake and platform, and then we hauled stuff. I got hooked. There's 5 of us that went into retrograde, and we loaded out stuff that the government had set in and they didn't need, and there was all kinds of stuff that they brought in. The ropes, I remember my guys, they had 2 trailer loads of ropes that they had sitting out in the sand. We loaded that up and took it down to the deep water pit, or took some of it to Da Nang. One time I run to Da Nang 2 or 3 times on convoy up there with stuff, and then that was basically that's what I did until we come home.
Okay. Did you see any combat?
No, other than being mortared and rocketed and things like that. We had a lot of incoming at different times. They would come in. I remember Easter morning, I guess it was. Got up and went down and ate breakfast and just sat down, and they rocketed the runway, and as we was running back to get our stuff and get into bunker and man our bunkers, they marched them rockets right down the runway, just blowed them to smithereens. She's seen that out of the corner of your eye, and you just kept footing her right back, and we got rocketed to, I think about the second or third day we was there. They set some incoming in, and That was our first experience. We didn't have any guns or anything. Everything was still being transferred in, but now we got that taken care of.
Were there many casualties in your unit?
I think we had one. There's one guy that got killed on convoy, and they was down at Duckville or that area. What was it? 12 of them went down there, and he was in the infusion deal, and they got hit, and he lost his life. He wasn't with our unit. I mean, he was with the unit, but he wasn't from here.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences, if you have any.
Well, I'd say the one that I can remember was when that's left an impression, would be that we went into Da Nang at night, and the next morning we went out to the airport, and we was pretty much all there kind of together, and they had a C-141 sitting there, and there's loading body bags on it. And that was the first kind of eye-awakening, realize where you was at going on. And that's one thing that kind of, leaves an impression on your mind. And you got to grow up then. That's what you do, figure out what's going on. When you're 20 years old, you just kind of go on with figure out what's happening.
Were you ever a prisoner of war?
No, I wasn't.
How did you stay in touch with your family?
Back then, the only way we had was letters. Wife and I talked about that several times. We had a nephew that was in Desert Storm. Well, his mom communicated by computer and could talk, cell phone, but all we had was letters. You wrote a letter home, and that was about the size of it. As far as talking to anybody from home, you read and talk to them till you hit town when you got home. That was about the size of it,
What was the food like while you were there?
We had decent chow, I guess you might say. The one thing I do remember was that we had roast beef. There wasn't a shortage of roast beef, and we had it for dinner and supper for I think it was 19 days. I do remember that. It was a big deal. It was you knew what you was going to get. And we was lucky on some things that we took care of. We was with ration breakdown on some of them, you'd make connections. It's just like anything, you swapped. And we had, after we figured things out, we had lumber. We handled all the lumber that come into that Chulai area. We had a big lumber yard. And you could trade 2x4s for steaks to the Navy like there's no tomorrow. I mean, and we learned to do that. And we'd have after we got things figured out, we kind of had once a month we'd have a big steak fry, cookout. And it's just kind of, you knew it was time, and when that stuff come in to the yards, it didn't get acted like it never showed up. You just kind of saved it for swapping.
Did you have plenty of supplies?
Yes, we did. Yeah, we had all kinds of supply, anything we needed. Well, we was a supply unit, so we was first hands, so we was able to. We handled ration breakdown, summer ration breakdown, and all perishable items like lumber. We handled and petroleum. The whole petroleum unit did. We did everything but ammunition. We didn't handle any ammunition. Another outfit handled ammunition. But
did you ever feel any pressure or stress?
Well, yes, I would say you feel pressure or stress, and that's just not like, you're not home, and you kind of get homesick in a way, but I guess that was basically the the pressure that I felt personally, was about it. But we kind of rolled with the punch and kept on going. You knew you was going home sometime.
Was there something special you did for good luck?
No, not really. No, don't think so. Got up every morning.
How did people entertain themselves?
Oh, we had played cards. We had we worked 10 hours a day, basically, and we was fortunate enough that we had the South China Sea. We had a beach that was out of this world. It was about probably 7 or 8 miles long, and you could go down there like on weekends, and USO was down there, and where I was lucky enough to have a truck, I could get in a truck and a bunch of us go down. We'd you kind of go on the south end, I remember, and kind of come up, and you just go out there and just swim and do whatever you wanted to. Sometimes we'd go down there and cook, but basically we did that, and we had movies. I mean, they had a movie night. The company up to 588th was up the road from us, and it seemed like they would have a movie once or twice a week, and we'd have a movie maybe our company would have a movie once or twice a week, and if you wanted to go to the movie, you go one place or the other. It was on different nights, and that was about it. We had floor shows. We had a beer hall, and the beer hall, if you was kind of up, and USO had USO shows, and then they brought in, there's Koreans and Australians that come in and had floor shows maybe once a month or so, and I'd take care of one night.
Were there any entertainers?
Bob Hope come in, and I didn't go that day, but we had Bob Hope show come in. I remember him because they come in right over the company area we had a big down there, by the PX. There's a bowl and that's where the Bob Hope show come in, and he was there Christmas Day or day before Christmas, I believe it was. And we had him. I don't remember any other ones being there. That was the only one he was the main one, at that time that did that.
What did you do when you were on leave?
Didn't have any leave when I was over there. I was going on R&R, but we got orders to come home. So the wife was coming to Hawaii, but the daughter was born while I was there. So the oldest daughter was born. So we had to push R&R back, and then we had orders to come home. So we just forgot about R&R. We just waited till we got home, rather than spend the money.
Where did you travel while you were in the service?
Well, overseas, I went to Da Nang and down to a place called Duck Pho. I was down there for a couple of days and I had to run convoy down there, and I went up to Da Nang a couple of days, and that was about it. Well, I was at Fort Sheridan in Colorado Springs, out Fort Carson. Now, when we was out there, before we went overseas, we did a lot of sightseeing and stuff over there. Wife was out there. We just got married, so she come out, and we had weekend leaves most generally, so we spent a lot of time out there. We liked the mountains, so that's what we did. Gas was cheap. We had no money, so you drove.
Do you recall any particularly humorous or unusual events during your time?
I don't know. Not really. It was just kind of just everyday stuff, I guess. You can make some humor out of something at times.
What were some of the pranks that you or others would pull?
Oh, I don't know if we really call them pranks or excuse me. I can't think of it. I'll be truthful.
Okay. Do you have any photographs?
Yes, I do.
You brought them with you?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Who are the people in the photographs?
Well, mainly myself, and then there's a bunch that we got together when I got word that my daughter was born. We had a little party, and there's probably 5 or 6 of us was in the hooch, and we did a little drinking and had some fun.
What did you think of officers or other fellow soldiers?
I had an officer. We had a first lieutenant overseas, and Lieutenant Roberts, and I really liked him. He was a prince of a man. I mean, he was our age, but he was a good guy, and he stood up for you. If you had little problems, you could go to him, and I really liked him. And Kyle, our company commander, I liked him also. He was a good fellow, you know. He was the same way, you know.
Did you keep a personal diary of any kind?
No, I didn't.
Okay, this next set of questions is your time after you got out of the service, okay? Do you recall the day your service ended?
Yes, I do. We come back to, well, we flew out of July, the whole scenario. We flew out of July, and we went to Okinawa, and then into Alaska, and then into Peterson, I believe it is, Air Base. We come back as a unit, and over at Kansas City, and then we lit there, and then we got on buses and come back to Leonard Wood, and we was there for a week, I believe it was, right at a week, processing out, getting all of our paperwork done and everything. And then they put us on buses, and we come into Quincy here, and we, I think it started out at the junior high and had a parade. It might have started out farther out east, but we had a parade, and we all rode in convertibles and went to Washington Park, and they, I don't know, had speakers and all this, and then we went on our way. That was about the size of it. I think we had to go back in to the armory to get our final papers and all that, like on Monday or Tuesday, and then that was it. I mean, I had my discharge shortly thereafter, and I went back to work.
You may have answered this, and I don't remember, but where were you when your service ended?
Now, overseas,
Mm-hmm.
I was at July.
What did you do in the days and weeks afterwards when you got home?
Well, let's see, we got home, and we found a place to live. That was about the first thing, because we had an apartment in Colorado Springs, and so we found us a house to rent, and the wife and I went to Florida. That was our honeymoon, since we didn't have a honeymoon, and come back after about 10 days, and then I was working at Mormon's at the time, manufacturing, when we got activated, and then I went back to work and worked there for 24 years. Afterwards, I come back until I quit.
Did you work or go back to school at all?
I went to work, but I didn't go back to school. I wished I had it, but that's water under the bridge.
Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yeah, I had some real close friends while I was in the service that I didn't have, and one of them, Bob Smith, he's gone now, but our kids grew up together, and we were real close friends, and his wife and everything, we still are.
Do you continue any of those relationships?
Yes.
And for how long?
Well, it's been, what, 40-some years, 45 years.
Did you join a veterans organization of any type?
Yeah, American Legion. I joined the American Legion up in Mendon for quite a few years. And then I dropped out and older. I don't know. I haven't ever joined VFW or anything, no. I probably should have, but I haven't.
What did you go on to do as a, what did you do to go on, I'm sorry, what did you go on to do as a career after the war?
I come back and worked at Mormon's Manufacturing and for 24 years, like I said, and then I started farming, and then I farmed from that point till now, to the present time. And I don't know, that's about, you know, when you come out, you had to have a job, so that was a place to work, and they was good to me, so that's where I worked.
Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
I think, personally, I didn't want to go, and thank goodness I come back, but I learned a lot. You grow up a lot, and experiences down the road, I think it's helped you, because there's sometimes that you got to make decisions, you got to make them kind of in a hurry, and whether right or wrong, you live with them, and I think it kind of helps you that way.
Have there been any reunions, and if so, did you ever attend any?
Yes, I do. We have a reunion every 10 years, and I think now we've got them down to about every 5 years, and there's a good attendance. And now I think we're getting together, the guys are, about every 2 months. And the older you get, the more you go to things like this, because you don't know if you're going to be at the next one.
How did your service and experiences affect your life?
Oh, well, I guess it made me a better man in a way, in a sense, because, you know, you have to take command and do things, you know, like I said, right or wrong, you have to take responsibility to things, and that's kind of what it taught you to do, is you know, whether it makes you better or not, I guess that's in your own thought of mine, but I think it's helped me quite a bit.
Is there anything you'd like to add that we have not covered in this interview?
I don't know. There was we've done a pretty good job, but there's things that everybody should know, you know. I mean, the service is good for everybody, and personally I think that they should have the draft, because that way it would get some of these young men and ladies or whatever, of course the lady is different, I mean young men, and make them out and go do something and have some responsibility, rather than be deadbeats. I'm sorry, but you know, it is a lot of things that the service teaches you. You can come out with a job, you can come out with a trade out of the service. It helped me with some trades. I learned how today, I mean, I drove a truck for a while, but if I hadn't had that experience in the service, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Do you think the children in school today really have a good view of what happened back then, and of the people that served and how they came home?
No, I really don't think they understand what's going on, because there's a lot of things. I don't care if it's I've learned over the years that everybody, it's history. You know, and every veteran has his own story and his own piece of history, and it should be passed on, kind of like this. But the kids today, I don't know if they really understand that much about history like it was and everything. I mean, when I was growing up, I wished I'd asked more questions about World War II and Korea. And now that I'm older, I have, from different veterans I know, you know, and they'll tell you. I mean, there's some things they won't tell you, and there's some things they will tell you, and everything. And I think, I don't think the kids really understand what's going on, but that's a different generation also. And each generation is a little different in view.
Well, this concludes the interview. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we end?
No. I want to thank everybody.
We appreciate you coming in and sharing your story.
Okay, thank you. Did we make it?
You did great.